Hi there, I'm Haruka. During the past year or so, I've gotten more and more interested in gacha games. Interested, I haven't actually played a single one. I like all the cute anime girls, but pretty much all of them are fantasy card games, and I've never even seen a Magic Gathering deck in person. I can vaguely remember watching some cousins play Yu-Gi-Oh! Once when I was like 5, but other than that, I've never even played any of these games properly. Besides, I like something more active and hands-on when it comes to games. Recently, my streak of not playing gacha games changed when I started playing Genshin Impact. I was sold on it by someone saying it was just a free clone of Breath of the Wild, and since I don't have a Switch, I instantly wanted it. And I got it. And I fell in love with it. I've heard that people pay a lot of money to be overpowered, but if you don't want to, it's cool. Just never say the words free to play on the subreddit or people will hate you indiscriminately. And since I'm stuck in the computer, I've pretty much spent all of my time playing Genshin. Beta is best girl, by the way. So now that I've finally encountered a real gacha game, I've also encountered a gacha community for the first time. People talking about specific strategies, re-rolling for different accounts, and generally a lot of stuff that I never even thought about and hope to continue to never think about. I started thinking about how much money people who are actually serious about this spend, and how they could just buy a poster of their best girl instead. But this video isn't about gacha hell, it's about sports. You see, before I tried out Genshin, I had a passing interaction with a game that I was told would be a soccer gacha game, called Soccer Spirits. I took one look at the battle mechanic and realized that it had nothing to do with soccer. It was just another goddamn card game. And why can't I get a soccer gacha game? Why can't I get an American football gacha game? And why not even a hockey gacha game? But wait, there already is a gacha for all of them. And it's called Ultimate Team. So I'm kind of throwing anyone here from the sports side into the deep end with talking about gacha, but you'll figure out what I mean by that as we move along. For the weebs out there who don't play EA Sports games, Ultimate Team was first introduced as a DLC in FIFA 09. Well, actually it was originally a game mode and a game license specifically for the Champions League in 2006, but FIFA 09 was the first main EA Sports title to have Ultimate Team. It was then implemented the next season in Madden 10 and then in NHL 11. Basically, the fundamentals of Ultimate Team is that it is technically a card game from the strategy standpoint. You build a team of cards that represent players, there's item cards and all that, but when it comes to battling, you actually play a game of whatever sport you're in. There's online play and single-player challenges. You play, win coins, and get better cards, which are better players. Now I'm going to specifically be focusing on FIFA Ultimate Team, also known as FUT, not only because my greatest love is soccer, but also because I cannot play MUT or HUT due to being absolute and utter trash against real-life people in those games. So why is FUT gacha? Well, you just heard me explain it. You got cards, battles, and in-game currency to buy your favorite waifu. As a side note, my husbando is Tijuana striker Ariel Nahuapan, but he's rated at only a 72 overall, so I'll probably never be able to use him on my team. I'll explain later. But one of the biggest things that made me fully believe that FUT is just a gacha game was just the way pack openings are viewed. They're just banner pools for jocks. Weebs tweet out when they get a 4-star Astolfo in Fate Go, but the Ultimate Team players I know tweet out when they pick up a Team of the Week Bruno Fernandes. It's the same hype. The only difference is that Astolfo has a much bigger So before I go any further about the gacha aspect of pack openings in FUT, I'm going to have to quickly give some key differences between FUT and most gacha games. First of all, and most unfortunate, there are no waifus. There's plenty of husbandos, but no cute anime girls, not even on banners. They had the audacity to name a reward banner in the game Kawaii Vikings, but it wasn't a cute chibi anime girl dressed as Brunhilde. The little cartoon Vikings were still sorta cute though, but they have yet to provide me with any anime girls. Now technically speaking, FIFA does have the rights to a lot of the women's national teams. You can play in tournaments or you can go to a different online game mode to dominate the American defense with Sam Kerr. But there's multiple issues with bringing them up in this conversation, so I'm just going to walk away from this conversation and hope that issues there solve themselves. As another completely unrelated side note about EA Sports games, the only game you can play as a woman against male characters is NHL, and they've actually allowed it since NHL 12. Although they have been barred from fighting in the game since around NHL 15, which is very disappointing for any woman dreaming of being the next Gordie Howe. That's a joke for you hockey fans. Anyway, the other big difference is that there's no real way to improve your players. This is more a FUT specific thing. There's certain cards in Madden Ultimate Team that you can level up with certain other cards and training points, and I just haven't played HUT long enough to know if they've got a similar system. But for FIFA Ultimate Team, you're just limited to minor boosts for team chemistry and minimal position changes between certain positions. You used to be able to change the league a player was from to help with chemistry, but that's been phased out and is reserved for coaches now. So I can't make my 72 overall Ariel Nahuapan better than Messi, but at least I can rest assured that Nahuapan could still absolutely kick Messi's ass. Finally is a key difference that isn't really the absence of a feature or anything, it's just different. In gacha games, there's what's known as stamina mechanisms that limit the things you can do per a certain time period. In Genshin Impact, it's your resin that you spend when you do domains. For normies who have wandered in and somehow gotten to this point, it's the wait time you had when playing Farmville back when everyone was playing Farmville. In FUT, there's caps to the amount of single-player squad battles you can play in online Rivals games, but they're so high that it's very rare that you'll actually hit those caps unless you really try to hit them. And even then, there's so many other challenges that can keep you occupied. It's a sports game. It's not designed for collecting your favorite waifus. It's designed to make you feel inferior while playing against some asshole 13-year-old with a Real Madrid logo. That's the way the game gets you to buy packs and in turn spend money. The demon we're fighting isn't lust, it's wrath. And if there's one thing that brings out wrath for all of us the most, it's gacha rates. Before doing any research, I just had the assumption that FUT had just stupid gacha rates. I mean, most of my best players I've ever gotten came from objective-based players from when they were practically giving away Team of the Season so far players in the last few months of FIFA 20. The luckiest I ever got at a pack opening was a 95 overall Ronaldinho from a premium players pack I earned from a round of drafts. There's also just so many players in FIFA. I actually decided to start doing the math here because I wanted to kind of know. With the help of some sites that I've listed in the description, I went to work counting up every single card in FUT, MUT, and HUT. But now that research has actually come into play, things got very stupid very quickly, and I just need to talk about this for a bit. So I was correct in assuming that there were the most cards in FUT with 17,708 cards as of when I did this research in mid-January. Hockey Ultimate Team had the least cards as far as I could tell with 2,856, which is a bit surprising since Madden can only draw from the NFL. HUT has the NHL as well as the junior leagues in Canada and Europe, as well as the minors with the AHL. If there are 32 NFL teams, each with a 53-man roster, plus all 346 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, not even stopping to remove all those in the hall who didn't actually play, that's still only 1,696. MUT has 4,425 cards. And it gets worse from there. Like the star ranking systems in normal gacha games, most Ultimate Team modes use a bronze, silver, and gold for any standard cards, and any extra cards are for different series. Serii? Anyway, Madden decides to toss away that standardized system and add another level on top of that with elite cards with a red outline. And this has broken the card economy in Madden Ultimate Team. FUT has a fairly reasonable proportion of players in each category. You've got a little over 40% of all cards being bronze. There's a lot of really bad players in the world and you gotta have them in there. There's a little under 44% at silver, which is understandably more than bronze because there's still a solid amount of players who are okay, but not really the best. It's the mid-level. And for gold players, the proportion is around 10%. This is a reasonable distribution since there's a lot more different high-level card types that can round out that high-end region. Out of the nearly 4,500 cards in MUT, there are only 50 bronze players. At least it's not as bad as HUT with their measly 30 bronze cards and barely noticeable 129 silver cards, but it gets so much worse. Remember how I mentioned red elite cards? Well, that's what messes up the economy. Overall is the big number Ultimate Team puts on the card to basically describe its total power level. Technically, it's supposed to be a ranking from 1 to 99, but really the lowest a player's overall really gets is like 47-ish. So the higher the cards overall is, the less of them are, right? Well, in FIFA, only 3.6% of all cards are 85 overall or higher. In NHL, the number is pretty dang high at 23%. In Madden, 30% of all cards are 85 and over. But what about the best of the best, the 90 and over? FUT has less than 1% of their cards that high. HUT has that number at 4.3%. MUT jacked it up all the way to almost 15%. Madden Ultimate Team is broken and dumb, and I hate it. So back to gacha rates. This video is about gacha rates. FUT's gacha rates are based on that card type I explained earlier, with there being bronze packs, silver packs, and gold packs for the respective cards types. These packs also contain items like cosmetic stuff, healing items, and temporary buffs. There's also different types of standard cards. There's what's called rare cards, which are just shiny. They're not actually that rare at all since everyone gets them very easily. But when you buy a pack, it tells you that it guarantees that 3 of your gold items will be rare or something like that. The problem is that rare doesn't necessarily mean good. The lowest overall a gold card can be is 75, and there are MLS players like Iko Parra and Darwin Quintero who are rare gold cards, but are still no better than most standard gold cards. What we want is a usable player. Because you can't actually improve a card by a meaningful amount, you need to take them as they are. It's an actual soccer team, so you have to fill a starting 11 in your formation of choice, I like a 3-5-2, and then fill out your team, putting in players at their correct positions. The players that you get on your gacha rolls are supposed to improve the squad you have right now, but a lot of the time these new players aren't worth it. An easy baseline to think of when dealing with overall ratings goes back to something I said earlier. Most players at 85 overall and above are probably going to be meaningful for your team. Anyone 90 overall or up is pretty much an instant starter unless you've already built up a team with 90s everywhere. And that's where we'll draw our line for what A tier and S tier are. Let's get into some actual numbers. For my gacha baselines, I'm going to be using my personal favorite, Genshin Impact, the legendary Fate Grand Order, and a game I've never even touched but love the art for, Arknights. Now the point of a gacha game isn't to make your team good, it's to get the best possible waifus. So not only am I going to be trying to find the general gacha odds for certain levels of cards/characters, I'm going to be trying to find the gacha odds for best girls. First up, I already have a pretty solid team in Genshin, so I'm going to mostly try to replicate it here. There's Beidou, the thick pirate queen, her wife and somehow not evil trillionaire oligarch Ningguang, the most relatable little zombie Chi-Chi, and because Ganyu isn't on the standard banner yet, her tits will be replaced with Mona's thighs. This isn't a balanced team, but I love them all. So in terms of how many of each item there are, there's 62 total possible items to get in a standard role, which is called a wish. 41 weapons, 21 characters, stratified as 3 stars, 4 stars, and 5 stars. All 3 stars are weapons, there are 16 4-star characters, and only 5 5-star characters at the moment. Going on a sheer proportional basis, over a quarter of all items in Genshin are 4-star characters, but in terms of effective wishes, there's a more complicated system. Do I have to talk about pities? I don't want to talk about pities. Basically, there's a certain number of pools you reach where you're guaranteed a 5-star or something. Every 10 wish guarantees you a 4-star item, and I think it's 90 wishes you're guaranteed a 5-star item? With all that in there, your adjusted rate for a summon is as appears on this spreadsheet. This may not be exactly accurate, but I'm a writer, not a statistician. So that means that on a single summon, my combined odds to get one of the girls I want is around 0.439%. And on a 10 wish, which is what I usually use, it's a combined 5.927% to get one of them, although that's mostly out of the nearly 3% each for the leeway power couple. Remember this, or just wait for me to bring it up near the end when comparing everything. Next is Fate Go. Outside of Astolfo jokes and Saber memes, I only really knew one other waifu, Scat Hatch. She's in every single subreddit I go to for relaxation purposes, but unfortunately she's not on the standard banner for Fate Go. So instead, my dream 4 will be Astolfo, Jeanne d'Arc, Jack the Ripper, and Medusa because I thought she was hot. Turns out Fate Go gacha odds were made by NASA or something. I couldn't find exact numbers, but I did find a site, link in description, that gives you your odds to pull the player you want when they get a rate up banner. So I used those odds despite the fact that I wanted to keep everything on the standard banner. But what are you gonna do when you want to turn around a video in just a week? Fate Go has a similar deal with a guaranteed 3-star item for every 10 summon, but the problem is that it has so many more non-character items that it's extremely hard to keep track of. I forgot what this portion of the spreadsheet was about. I should label things better. I think it was the separate odds I found. Anyway, the odds site said that on a rate up there would be these odds for getting the waifus over the course of 240 summons. Why 240? We'll get back to that later. We're on to Arknights, which has the absolute best art and somehow the easiest to understand gacha odds. Or second easiest, because Genshin was fairly simple. I went through the waifu list and pulled out Exusii, Amiya, Saria, and made Texas my new desktop background. There are only 10 roll summons, so that's fun. And it also has a pity, which raises your rate to a pull 6-star the longer you go without one. The problem is that the standard pulls have a rotation of rate up, so the one I was using was standard pull 46, which rates up Qian, Siege, Flint, Croissant, and Neural. None of them are the waifus I'm pulling for, but I will not turn down Siege cause damn! Anyway, without taking rate ups into consideration, your odds are 50% for a 4-star operator, 30% for a 3-star operator, 8% for a 5-star operator, and 2% for a 6-star operator, because they work in a 6-star system for some reason. Based on simply the amount of operators there are in each star category, that would give Moody's chain smoker Catgirl Texas about a 1% chance of getting picked up in standard role, since she is only one of 59 possible 5-star operators. And as for Battle Mommy Saria, she and every single 6-star get 0.7% odds. But the automatic rate up bothers me, so what are these girls' odds right now on the banner I'm using as my example? Well, it lowers the odds for them by more than half, dropping the 5-stars to 0.5% and the 6-stars to 1/3%. That's less good. Now I finally get to FUT. What are FUT's actual factual gacha odds? I have absolutely no idea. Every pack is different and they do not give a standard percent anywhere. It's an actual problem. The best I could find is that in a premium gold pack, there is a 4.4% chance that there will be a player that is 84 plus overall in there, which isn't even guaranteeing that it's up to the 85 plus baseline I want. So I can't use the actual gacha odds because EA Sports does not provide the complete odds because they don't feel the need to. There are no odds for an icon player unless it's a specific pack. But now I'm in way too deep. I need answers, so I decided to create an experiment. While looking for the gacha rates for each game, I found gacha simulators for Genshin, Fate Go, and Arknights. So I looked for a FUT pack opening simulator, and the best I could do was this one from FUTWiz. It has a simulator for the premium gold pack. I originally thought that this pack wasn't entirely accurate because it was giving me all players, no added items. They love stuffing into that thing. But they kept it at just 8 players while the pack itself was 12 items. Basically, it tries to compensate for that offset, so this is about the best as we're gonna get. And since it's not a clean 10 like the real gacha games, I chose 240 pools so that we have an even number together. Why not 200, which is divisible by both 10 and 8? I originally designed this thinking it was 12 players and had to restart again, so everything was already 240, so too late to change it. For each of the games, I had a B tier items, an A tier items, and an S tier items slot. On Genshin, I just moved all weapons, regardless of star level, to the B tier because we're hunting for waifus. Same for Fate Go and its weird random items that I don't understand because I don't play the game, but instead of moving it to the B tier with 3-star characters, I just removed it from being tracked entirely. I also kept track of how much this rolling spree would cost, since each of the gacha-specific simulators gave me that option. And with this, I began rolling. As you can see on Genshin Impact, the guaranteed 4-star or above item didn't always mean it would be a character. Obviously, there's weapons everywhere. But I did get 2 5-star characters. In terms of our hunt for best girls, that 14 4-stars gave us pretty good odds to get both Beidou and Ningguang, which we did. However, Chi-Chi and Mona were not our 2 5-stars. While Chi-Chi is an obvious disappointment, I have her on my actual account, so it's all cool. As for Mona, we didn't get her thighs, instead we got an upgrade in the form of Jean, who has both thighs and abs. Clearly better. And we even got her gal pal Lisa on a second constellation. All around a solid haul. Let's check the price. Oh, God. That's almost $500. That is a lot for so little. Let's move on for now. Fate Go is well known for being unforgiving, and I definitely saw that here. Out of my 240 items, only 9 were servants above 3 stars, and those were all 4 stars. I got none of the waifus I ordered, except maybe Medusa, but I didn't write that one down. Of the 4-star servants I got, the only one that caught my eye was Yume Ren, who reminded me of Chizuru from Kanekari while she's in stealth mode. Though, through some extra research, I found that one of the 3 stars I kept getting, the Jaguar Warrior, while originally just looking like some guy in a mascot costume, ends up developing into a katana-wielding badass with some serious cleavage. Now that's what I call a glow-up. But in the end, we got pretty much nothing and it cost us $345. Wow, how do you weebs do this? On to Arknights. By the amount of green here on the screen, you can tell that we actually got a lot of hits in terms of just generally quality characters. That is 22 5-stars and 6 6-stars. In terms of quality, we actually got one of the girls I wanted, Texas. I have no clue what the story is for this game, but I like to think that Texas is a college dropout who used to be a journalism major until she realized that journalism is a dying industry and the only way she'd get anything out of her degree is selling out to the private sector and going into marketing. And now she's going through a quarter-life crisis wondering if the rest of her life is even worth it now that she's fucked up the first 20-something years. Definitely something I know nothing about. Despite there being a raid up for Siege, I didn't see her name in my notes, so I guess we couldn't nab her. We also whiffed on the other 3 waifus I was gunning for, but we did find some gems like Lapland, who appears to be Texas's feral roommate, Province, who is a big fluffy fox girl, and Siubi, who's just discount hollow but with guns. And all of this for over $430. You know what? Worth it. Now let's look at the one gacha game I actually paid money for, since you need to buy FIFA in order to play FUT. And that is a very disappointing looking chart. Only 2 players deemed usable. I actually got a few players who were between 80 and 84 overall, but that wasn't on the list, so they weren't really counted. This looked definitive, but then I calculated the price tag. I wasn't given a clean amount by FUTWiz, and you can't actually buy coins, you need to buy FIFA points and use those on these packs. So I did a lot of math and double checking, and to get these packs just using FIFA points that were purchased specifically for these 30 premium gold packs, you would have to pay $40. Before doing this experiment, I'd have said that this number was way too high, but putting it alongside these gacha juggernauts, it actually seems pretty reasonable. Besides, so few people actually buy FIFA points, so it makes sense that the price would be so low. So while the experimental gacha rate was abysmal, maybe it's just that normal gacha games give you more for your money. Maybe I just need to spend an equivalent amount on FUT and see what happens. I can't believe I'm doing this. So I decided that instead of doing an equal amount of pulls, I'd just pump an equivalent, not equal, amount of money into FUT and see what happens. With Genshin at 500 and Fate Go at 340, I decided that I'd just get FUT to that range by pumping in a calculated 341.94 into the game, plus tax, I think. Thank God this isn't real money. But it also means that I'm going to have to sit there and open 272 packs. Damn it, I am 9 pages into the script, and now I gotta do this. Just kidding, I already did this before writing the script. Welcome to FUT Gacha Hell. So I needed to open 272 packs, which means I will go through 2,176 players. If you remember from earlier, that's almost the amount of total cards there are in Hockey Ultimate Team. Just because I wanted to be more lenient, I also kept track of 80 overall and over players, as well as the 85 and over icon cards and special team of the week cards. The data didn't look any better, but I did get a single icon player, an 88 overall Juan Sebastian Veron. Veron was an all-purpose Argentine central midfielder with the nickname La Brujita, who played for Estudiantes, Lazio, and Inter, but was best known for being injured while with Manchester United. Wait, he led Parma to a UEFA Cup win? Parma? I take back my snarkiness, that's neat! Anyway, my snarkiness against FUT remains. Let's compare all of these together. As you see here, by sheer volume, the price match experiment has the most B tier items and barely ties Arknights for the most A tier items, but it still lacks a single S tier item, which for FUT is literally any player at 90 overall or above. Yes, only 1% of all player cards are 90 overall and up, but that's still 165 cards. Someone's gotta show up when I pull over 2,000 of them. And we see the estimated gacha rates based on the samples provided. FUT pretty much has no leg to stand on here, as due to the absence of an S tier in both experiments, they're in the red by a lot. As for other gacha games, they're lined up pretty well with their stated gacha rates. While Fate Go didn't give us an S tier, the numbers for their A tier and B tier matches up to an acceptable range to the point that 0% makes sense, since that's about where the margin of error here is. Genshin appeared to have better rates than written, but that also comes with the pity rates and all that, so that may have clouded the data somewhat. And the clear winner here is Arknights, who not only has the best waifus, but has the best overall rates compared to the others, with markedly higher rates in the sample than in the stated rules. Maybe I just got lucky, but even then, the comparison is stark. Then we throw it to the bit that worries me. Money. Obviously, overall, the most expensive was Genshin, where you essentially paid $2 for every item. And while Arknights was close to that number, it did provide you with the best value for money, giving you an S tier item for around $70 and an A tier for $20. But clearly the cheapest is FUT, and that's not a surprise based on what we've been talking about. The issue is that while it's cheaper, you get a whole lot less. Which is weird since all these other games are free to play, but you still have to pay $60 up front for FIFA. You'd think it'd give you better odds to improve because you already paid your money. Who am I kidding? This is EA we're talking about. Besides, FUT includes a system in it that provides an opportunity to make up for those trash gacha odds. Auctions. When it comes to in-game economies, Ultimate Team auctions make it literal. You spend your coins and pay another player, minus a commission for EA, for a card they want to dump. Because you can't own duplicates or use the duplicate to improve your original card, it's useful for getting something more out of a card you don't need. In fact, most FUT players mostly just use auctions to improve their team because of how horrible the pack rates are. It removes the randomness and allows you to target a card you want. It depends on the market, obviously. Is anyone selling? What are the prices? How quickly are these items being snatched up? But it's something that I feel like gacha games could implement for user enjoyment. People build their teams in different ways in each game. Just like I have my own waifu team, not based in the meta for Genshin, I use a 3-5-2 in FIFA. I don't need fullbacks for that formation, but someone else probably does. And I don't need Bennett or Zhongli, but others might really want them. And people already do this with reroll accounts and the whole black market for accounts that have certain characters on them. And so to end this terrible, terrible trip through gacha hell, I'll say this. Ultimate Team is a really shitty gacha game, but it's really all we got when it comes to sports. Either Ultimate Team needs to fix their rates, or they can just add waifus in some way and I'll forgive everything. But this is a market that's ripe for disruption if someone wants to take it. A gacha sports game that is gameplay focused, not card game focused. And gacha games should put more focus into gameplay overall. They've made their money on the card games, it's time to flex. That's what MiHoYo did with Genshin Impact, and they've made even more money off of that because of how accessible it is to people like me who are trash at the card games. That's all I have left to say. Thank you for watching. If you want to watch more, I got stuff here. I scripted the ending the last time, and I didn't script the ending this time. And I'm told that it sounds like I'm not reading off of a script, but I clearly am, aren't I? Anyway, up there is a video. It's going to be a random video that they're going to tell you. And down there is where the bubble is that you click and you subscribe. I I'm recording this on the day that the first video actually dropped, so that was fun to see. I hope more people show up. Bye.